Hello and welcome to this very special conversation. I'm joined by Professor Charan, who is one of the foremost thinkers, strategic thought leaders with regard to business, economy, and several other global aspects. Professor Charan, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. Thank you for taking out the time. I want to start by asking, you've written a book, a recent book, and it's very provocatively titled. It says, China's 90% model. China has America by the throat. Here's how to fight back and win. It's a provocatively titled book. Clearly, you have thought it through in terms of where all China is really hitting the American economy, and it looks like you have a solution here as well. I want to first start by asking you, sir, the very premise that you have put out in the book, why you think that China has America by the throat.
Yes. First, I'm to be honored on the network here. October 10th, President Xi announced that they will stop supplying rare earth materials. They go to most industries. If they stop supplying, industries stop altogether, particularly automotive. They control 80 to 90% of the world supply on it. So at will, the Chinese government can stop any industry of any country. That is why the foot on the throat. At this point, the other countries, including America, India, do not have any way to remove that foot from the throat. They can negotiate, but there is no direct way to get that foot off the throat. The Trump administration is working. They're now putting effort to create their own supply. A lady, Barbara Humper, she's assigned full-time. Investments being made. It is proceeding, but that remains. It's not just rare earth materials. It is input to the chemical industry, into pharmaceutical industry, into solar industry. And that's how the 90% comes. President Xi, after becoming the Secretary General and the President, began with a clear plan that they produce capacity in China in the selected industry equal to the 90% of the world demand. So when you do that, your marginal cost is very low. So you sell at marginal cost or even below to various countries. So the countries who do not have that scale, which none do,
they can't compete,
and they cannot develop in their own businesses. This got further 20% devaluation of RMB. So that's how you doing two things. One, you accumulating $1.2 trillion a year trade surplus in hard currency, yen, euro, dollar. At the same time, you're destroying the internal industrial development of the opponent countries. That's what's happened to Europe. They're paying the penalty. What happened in America is still surviving. So he chose 10 industries first. They got destroyed. 10 are now targeted into the future. And America had the solar industry 7 years ago. It's gone. So we have all that data. The book explains that. Now we're saying we cannot bring the time back.
Yes.
We now have to go forward. How do we do that? How do we negotiate? China is well known for a long march. At this point, they have the power to do this. They have accumulation of $7.4 trillion. $3.4 trillion, we know where that is. And they continue to $1 trillion surplus. If nothing is done in 5 years, it will be unbearable for the currencies of the world.
Okay. So some very, very important statistics that you've highlighted, and it also affects, in fact, it affects the global economy. It affects not just America, but also India as well. And we've also seen some sectors that have been disproportionately impacted by influx of cheap Chinese goods. Toys is one such sector, and there are a whole host of other sectors that have been impacted. There are two legs to what you said, sir. One is that there has been some response that has come in from the Trump administration. Second is, I want to ask from you also, which is going to be the sectors that are going to dominate the future, and how can, the world win, not just America. Let me first ask the one thread which I think is important. Trump administration in the last 1 year has spoken on just these lines, several part of it, which is that they need to focus more on manufacturing, bringing back manufacturing. The first step to that was leveling tariffs. They came out with the reciprocal tariffs, but it did not stand in the court of law. They were felt legally untenable. How do you see the Trump administration's roadmap from here on in terms of bringing back manufacturing, which is their very main goal in terms of their economic roadmap?
Yeah. So the way I see the actions being taken by Trump, and they are verifiable. One, he has begun on the basis of bring hardcore investment into the United States. They're building the chip manufacturing. TSMC is coming and building that. So that's the flow of investment coming in. Second, he is encouraging the technology development manufacturing. But the people are reluctant on their own to invest, simply because the Chinese able to thwart that by selling at very low prices, unless Washington and the allies are totally able not to let that import come in.
Okay.
That's this real fear there. But the manufacturing for the rare earth materials has begun, investments being made. Even India is involved in that. So that part, but it's slow. But the fear is, unless the allies are able to stop the inflow of that cheap, they will not put the investments in.
But the allies are not together. You have Germany having a completely different relationship with regard to China. You take France. All these are important allies and partners of America when you talk about the larger. And I'm sure if you put all of them together, your book says that it could be as much as 70 to 75 trillion.
It is.
Yeah. So, but for that 70 trillion to actually fructify, you need to have a UK, a France, a Germany, Japan all together.
Yeah. So here, first 70 trillion. It has to be by putting a Department of Manufacturing to coordinate the way we coordinate military. We have done that. We still can do that. Okay. We are doing it so that that's together, because every one of them is vulnerable to the attack by the Chinese government. And they have done so clearly, because they are coercion policies all the way through. So initially, I need United States, Japan, South Korea, Germany, and Israel. These alone, they are not 70, there are more in it. If they create this crystal of together and go at it, they can create a hyperscale and be able to create a marginal cost.
That's a very important premise you've built, sir.
Exactly.
But the fact that expecting all of them to come together is of course really the big task here. I want to ask from you in terms of the tariff roadmap, because that was fundamental to how the entire administration sees the revival of manufacturing. That's essentially step one. That they get the tariffs and that money is used to rebuild manufacturing capabilities here. How do you see that in the backdrop of the verdict? Do you see there'll be a plan B as far as revival of manufacturing is concerned? Or do you see that they will double down on these tariffs?
The whole thing about tariff began to eliminate the trade deficit of America. Half of that is by allies. Other half is with China directly and through Vietnam and Mexico. That other half is like from Japan. 2013, that currency is 90 yen to the dollar. It went to 160. It destroyed America's auto industry.
Yeah.
There are no Chinese cars in America, none. And so this needs to be changed. Now, the idea of tariffs was that the global rules have already broken a long time ago.
Yes.
So you bring the people to the negotiating party and do the balance of trade bilaterally. You do that, there will be no tariffs, very small tariffs.
Okay.
And then by creating balance of trade with each of the trading partner, you have a higher growth going forward. Now that the real opponent of this economy is China. So they have to come together. And each of them is very vulnerable by Chinese. So European economy is suffering. Germany is in a very sad shape regarding China. Volkswagen, auto industry,
Yeah.
is in a very terrible shape. So this, they know there's a real threat. So there is a reason for them to join. 8 of them may not join, but I have no doubt in my mind, 4 or 5 of them have to come together because you got to go to the hyperscale.
Okay, that's an important premise, sir. And just as a global economic thought leader, taking on from the tariff part that you mentioned, that tariffs will come down moment negotiations fructify.
Yeah.
If I were to take the example of India, we have a trade pact that is yet to be inked, but more or less has been agreed upon by both sides. There is now a 15% tariff that has been leveled. Your thoughts on that? Do you see that? Which way do you see that? I'm just asking because as someone who has that global worldview on which way business negotiations and tariff negotiations go.
Yeah, the way I look at it, tariff is a tool to negotiate between the two countries. And that go up and down depending. So right now going on because of the war, because of the oil situation, and so on.
As someone who advises global companies, what would be your advice to American CEOs in the wake of this grim scenario?
First, those who are operating in China, they got to come to terms. They are there only up to the CCP wants you. The moment you see you have a Chinese company whose market share in China is exceeding towards 50%, they will pick it up for hyper growth. And that will then begin to reduce your market share. Your unit cost will go up, and then they will ask you to sell it to them. It has happened to many companies already. Get ready, because you have to eventually face the geopolitical risk, which is you're operating in China. Many still don't believe it for a variety of reasons. I say it's very predictable. I'm suggesting to you, how do you predict that? So I have companies who have done it, and one of them moved to India 10 years ago, and they built India as the global hub, and fantastic. Chinese can never catch up with them. It's a different field altogether, and they are number 1 in the world. So people are doing that part. So those who are operating there, those who have research and development, they're going to move out. People are now moving out of there gradually. What's really happening? For local markets or for non-Chinese market, they got to create the venue of large volume-based manufacturing. And get collaboration with the government for banning, preventing imports. They're coming largely now through Vietnam and Mexico, which can be done.
Sir, as we wrap this up, my question with regard to the Indian market, the Indian economy is growing. If you look at the Indian CEOs, if you were to advise them, in the backdrop of India's imports from China have increased, even during times of tensions, our trade deficit has increased. So our reliance on Chinese imports continue, even though there is a realization that some sectors have been very badly impacted. What would be your advice to
Yeah.
to Indian CEOs and also Indian policymakers?
Yeah. So I want you to know a couple of things. Mr. Modi opened the country. You don't need a visa anymore from China to come here. Chinese, I know, and they're not in public transparency, where they are operating and giving money for investments. They are lenders in India. Now, and the idea here is, first, we should totally ban toys, apparel. There's a list that at least a third of the imports, there is no reason for us to import. And I don't think Chinese will retaliate for that.
Yeah.
Understandable. We do that. Second thing is that we have to be totally aware and take action that they can destroy any industry and that they prevent developing it. It took us a long time for us to develop auto industry. No matter what we have to do, we cannot let it be destroyed. Ban it.
Okay. And
So I have a company I'm working with. We have recruited Chinese experts,
okay.
and we're building inner ability, very precision parts right now, very quietly, without government help.
Okay.
We're going to do that because we know how to do it, and they are important to India. So if a business house has decided and they're investing it, the Chinese are in India today, training the people how to do that.
Okay. Final question, sir. I know when it comes to, country like India needs to create jobs. Manufacturing is the way to create jobs.
That's the way to do it.
If you were to put a 2-year, 3-year sort of a roadmap, what would be those top 2 things, 3 things that you would like to focus on?
It's a great question. The first part is I want to divide the businesses in India at 2 levels. One is the Birlas, Mahindras, Tatas, Ambanis, Adanis. They're about less than 20 people.
Yeah, these are the top conglomerates, yes.
They alone are already doing other things. We need to go to the companies that are in the 100 million range. They are battle tested, they have land, they have manufacture. I'd like to get the government of India to create an institute for scaling these companies.
Mid-sized companies need to be
Scaling these
up.
companies. They need help on 0 interest rate loans. They need help in how to create quality. They need more help in how to market to the outside. This is all doable.
Indeed,
But
yes.
let's get 500 companies. I ask people, name the minister for SMSCs. Nobody can name them. People, no businessman is able to name who is the minister, secretary. We got to put a person who's going to drive this. We have the capabilities to do that. So this is where the focus is, and this is where Mr. Modi's attention is less. It should be more.
SMEs as a segment does get attention, but I get what you're saying. We're doing a lot of mudra loans. We're looking at micro, enterprises. But this mid-sized sector,
That's what I'm talking.
it's where
exactly.
Yeah.
And
focus
I
should
only
be.
need 500 of those initially. They create more jobs.
Specifically, the 10 sectors that you think need to be prioritized.
Yeah. First, let me mention to you the ones America hadn't got destroyed.
Okay.
Rare earth magnets, lithium battery manufacturing, telecom infrastructure, solar panels, and the core systems for pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
They're all gone. And some of them actually by the American firms, by going to China, putting them there. A Tesla going to China, getting all that technology and create the
Mega factory in Shanghai. Yes. Yeah.
the ones that are targeted.
Yeah.
Aerospace and aeronautical.
Where you said China draws a blank right now.
Yeah. Just think about both aerospace and they don't have it. New materials, advanced composites, they really don't have those. The advanced agricultural machinery, they need food.
Yeah. Yes.
We have them. John Deere,
Yes.
Caterpillar, and others. Maritime equipment and high-tech ships, they have some, but not what we can have through the other allies, what they are. High-end robotics, Japan has them. Power equipment, autonomous driving technology they now have, but other people have it too. It's a race between them. Advanced rail transit equipment,
Okay.
biopharma, high-performing medical devices.
Those are the top 10 that you feel need to be protected.
Exactly.
Need to be protected from.
But they are not as popular as solar or chips or AI, but they need them.
Of course, and you highlighted the importance of them for the future economy. Yeah. All right.
And they are dual purpose, commercial and military.
Military purposes. You mentioned that. No, that I think is the important aspect, given the expansive ambitions of the Chinese military as well. That this is both civil and military purposes. I think that's the important part here. I'm going to wrap this up here then, sir. Thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. I wish your book the very best, and also some of the recommendations that you made, what policymakers, what CEOs need to follow. Let's hope that next time when we talk, we're not talking about China has America by the throat. We're talking about how it has managed to win against this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.